Hey everyone, it's James of geometriccharts.com, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, January 25th, the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, BTC, USD on the Bitfinex exchange. So tightly winding up within a range for Bitcoin. I think if there's a little bit of a pop, I do not think it's going to get above about 3,800. I think we're going to stay contained within this range and eventually come down to retest this low. I think at the end of the day, no matter what happens, Bitcoin is going to come back down to retest this low. Then the question is, does that low happen? The RSI, stochastic, like we have declining momentum during this little pump up. And at the end of the day, we're rising. Okay, but momentum is slowly dying as well. And I can show you real quick if I just open these indicators up. So you can see that clearly we're kind of on a decline, and I think on the short term, there's a little bit of an increase in that momentum, but I do not think it's going to be enough to buck the overall trend that is occurring in Bitcoin at this level. So I think going into the weekend, it's going to be a volatility and possibly a little bit of a pump, maybe across the board and these assets if they can currently hold where they're trading at now. But I do believe it's going to be short-lived, and I do not think Bitcoin is going to break outside of this 3,800 top on Bitfinex, or if it does, it's going to be a very marginal break and then a quick return back down. I think we're range bound until the next drop occurs, and I think that's best case scenario for Bitcoin, about 3,800. So anyways, if Bitcoin breaks down below about 35, like 35.50, 35.40, then I think that's it. More than likely, it's going to retest the bottom. Then the question is, does the bottom hold in? If you've been watching my videos, the bottom does not hold in that 3,200 level, then we are more than likely going to go down into the mid 2,500 range, or like the mid 2,000, like 24, 2,500, somewhere in that range to find support. At the end of the day, there's just still a lot of weakness. Volume is at least sustained for once in Bitcoin. It's been oscillating around about 5.3 billion. I don't imagine it's going to change significantly. I imagine there will be a little bit of a drop off going into the weekend. That's normal for weekends, but at least that is decent for Bitcoin on the shorter time frame. As long as that hangs around. Bitcoin used to only trade around like maybe like 3-4 billion. It was chopping around at 6,000, and now we've kind of increased that volume. But at the same token, volume's increased, but price has almost fallen in half as well too, or at least 3,000 points different from where it used to trade at. So that almost like 1.5 times volume, doesn't sound that great when you start to look at the numbers and you start to look at what price is done. So now you can buy a lot more Bitcoin now here at this level versus what you used to be able to do at 6,000. So while the volume sustaining that level is nice, it's not anywhere what it should be to really create some sustaining price movement in Bitcoin, where we would need at least probably 7 to 8 billion in 24-hour transactions to really start showing some strength in this market and that buyers are coming in. Other than that, it's almost the same regurgitated volume, just at a different price point, looking a little bit different, like a pig with different lipstick on. So anyways, hopefully that makes sense to everybody. At the end of the day, there's an overarching theme of weakness in this market, and I know it makes people aggravated. People want to hear the hype. People want to hear Bitcoin 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, whatever the crazy numbers are out there. But at the end of the day, this market is plagued with pump and dump. Whether it's the exchanges or whether it's other big players, I don't know. But at the end of the day, the only thing I can do on these videos is just stress the fact that these pumps are going to be short-lived, and that every time it happens, everyone thinks that's it. It's the bottom. Market's turning around. It's going to 200 billion. I'm selling everything I own to invest in Bitcoin. I'm going to be a mega trillionaire. Those days are long gone. It does not mean in the future, Bitcoin 10 years down the road or something could not be some number higher, but there is now a much longer timetable than there was in the past for Bitcoin. And a lot of people did not believe me when I talked about the time element and the stretching of price here. A lot of people denied it. And it's exactly what happened. This market's being stretched. Everyone's looking for these crazy moves in Bitcoin. And I honestly think the craziest moves we're going to see going into more than likely this year, next year, and the next few years after, probably going to be like 15-20% pumps, if that. And the market's just going to kind of chop, and it's going to find its base, and it's going to normalize. And I still think at the end of the day, Bitcoin is going to traverse lower on the bigger picture of things. And I talked about the mountain formation and potential return down to $1,000 or maybe even sub 1,000. But the reasoning behind that is that the market needs to be consolidated, and there's just way too many coins. A lot of these coins have been absolutely wrecked. I mean, absolutely wrecked, and rightfully so. So if the market is in this consolidation of power movement, then the overall trend is down. So I have a cough drop. I'm kind of getting a little bit of sore throat. But the point is that there is what I believe, a consolidation of power going on behind the scenes. Not that it's the end of the market. I think that if the market is going to survive, it needs to be consolidated. And whether that's Bitcoin as one of the primary ones or not, I have no idea. I don't have a crystal ball. All I know is that at the end of the day, everything's showing weakness. And my thought behind that is that they're looking to crush as many coins as they possibly can to consolidate that power and then rebuild the market. And that would be the normalization phase. The same way the NASDAQ had the normalization phase after the dot-com bubble. Took 15 years for the NASDAQ to reach those highs again. So it takes time. It's a time element. It wears a lot of people down. Everyone's looking for a quick buck. Everyone's listening to the hype people, mainstream media, social media, etc. And they're trying to buy into that, and then they're poking Bitcoin with a stick saying move. And that's going to happen for a very long time. So there's still going to be plays. There's still going to be money to be made. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there's no money, it's a dead market or anything like that. I'm just saying you need to kind of enter this with a different time frame on a longer, more horizontal plane, I should say. And these pumps are going to be short-lived, and the dumps are more than likely going to be a lot bigger than what the pumps were, as we've already seen in the past, time and time again. So hopefully all that makes sense. I know I talk about weakness, and I talk about, this bearish sentiment just from my own personal view on Bitcoin and just cryptocurrency in general. Not that it's the end of the market, but for the reasons I just explained. So hopefully that kind of, gives some reasoning to the things that I say and why I say them. And at the end of the day, it's all basically come true. I mean, I'm not trying to say I had this big head, but a lot of what I thought was going to happen has happened in this market. A lot of the warnings that I put out there have saved a lot of people a lot of money. And that was the whole purpose, not to get out here and stroke my ego or be right, but just to say, just to show my perspective and what I think is happening to this market. And again, a lot of it, if you've watched my videos, a lot of it goes back to just being exposed to the penny stock industry and how those tactics are utilized, and how I could see very similar things happening in Bitcoin, and still to this day they still are happening, and there's no oversight, and there's not going to be any oversight, and the Department of Justice is not going to do anything. They're not going to waste their time. So anyways, that's it for tonight. I'll do another video on Monday. Hopefully there's a little more price movement, something else to go off of. It's been a very tough week. Again, you can see on the chart, there's really not much to analyze when this is what we're doing. So it's just a very, very tough thing. The only thing I know at the end of the day that I can tell everyone is that momentum is dying out as price is trying to sustain higher price, or as price is trying to sustain itself while moving higher. So other than that, if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe, follow. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your support. I'll talk to everybody on Monday. Have a great week. Great weekend is what I meant to say. Great night and great day depending on where you are in the world.